Welcome to Iraqi Dinar News, where you receive real and authentic updates about the Iraqi dinar. If you want to stay informed with moment-by-moment developments, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Our goal is to bring you responsible, balanced, and fact-based analysis of developments affecting Iraq's economy, banking sector, and the Iraqi dinar. Today we are discussing a viewpoint that has been widely shared throughout the Iraqi dinar community. It encourages long-term holders to remain patient, despite increasing negativity and uncertainty, while expressing optimism that Iraq is moving toward a stronger economic future. As always, we will separate opinion from verified information and examine what these ideas could mean from an economic perspective. The message we are examining today reflects a sentiment that has existed within the Iraqi dinar community for many years. It reminds investors that they have already waited through decades of economic and political change, and argues that short-term emotions should not determine long-term decisions. While many supporters of the Iraqi dinar continue to believe Iraq's economic potential has not yet been fully reflected in its currency, it is important to understand that expectations about future exchange rate movements remain opinions rather than confirmed outcomes. One of the central ideas presented is that individual investors do not control decisions regarding Iraq's currency. On this point, there is little disagreement. The value and exchange rate policy of the Iraqi dinar are determined by Iraq's monetary authorities, particularly the Central Bank of Iraq, working within the country's broader economic framework. Exchange rate decisions are influenced by inflation, foreign exchange reserves, government fiscal policy, financial stability, banking reforms, and international economic conditions. These are institutional decisions rather than market decisions made by individual currency holders. This serves as an important reminder for anyone following Iraqi dinar developments. Regardless of personal expectations or market speculation, official monetary policy is ultimately determined by Iraqi authorities based on economic priorities. Investors can monitor developments, but they cannot influence policy decisions. This is why following official announcements, economic reforms, and verified government actions is far more valuable than reacting to rumors circulating online. Another major point in today's discussion is the belief that the Iraqi dinar is currently worth more than its official exchange rate suggests. This is one of the most debated subjects within the dinar community. Supporters often argue that Iraq possesses significant natural resources, particularly oil reserves, and therefore believe the country's currency could eventually reflect greater economic strength. However, economists generally caution that a country's natural resource wealth alone does not determine the value of its currency. A currency's exchange rate is affected by a wide range of factors including productivity, inflation, foreign investment, trade balances, fiscal discipline, monetary policy, political stability, confidence in financial institutions, and international demand for the currency. Strong oil revenues certainly contribute positively to Iraq's economy, but they represent only one part of a much larger economic picture. It is also important to recognize that Iraq currently operates under a managed exchange rate system. This means the Central Bank of Iraq actively manages the dinar's value rather than allowing it to float freely according to international currency markets. Because of this policy framework, discussions about what the currency should be worth remain speculative unless Iraqi authorities officially change their exchange rate policy. The paragraph also refers to concerns about corruption and individuals or groups that may not want Iraq to prosper economically. Corruption has indeed been identified as a significant challenge by numerous international organizations and economic observers. Successive Iraqi governments have publicly acknowledged the need to strengthen governance, improve transparency, modernize financial oversight, and reduce inefficiencies within both public institutions and parts of the financial sector. For many years, Iraq has been implementing reforms aimed at improving banking compliance, increasing digital payments, strengthening anti-money laundering measures, enhancing customs administration, and improving public financial management. These reforms are generally viewed as important steps toward building a more modern and stable economy. From an economic standpoint, reducing corruption can have meaningful long-term benefits. Greater transparency can improve investor confidence, attract foreign direct investment, strengthen government revenues, reduce wasteful spending, and support broader economic diversification beyond oil exports. These improvements can contribute to overall macroeconomic stability, although they do not automatically translate into immediate currency appreciation. The discussion also suggests that followers should pay close attention to news coming out of Iraq, because significant changes may be underway. This is sound advice when interpreted responsibly. Economic reforms often occur gradually rather than through one dramatic announcement. Banking modernization, digital payment initiatives, infrastructure investment, energy projects, tax reforms, customs improvements, and private sector development all represent pieces of a much larger transformation process. Over recent years, Iraq has continued efforts to modernize its banking sector, expanding electronic payment systems, encouraging greater financial inclusion, improving regulatory compliance, and integrating more closely with international financial standards are all developments that economists monitor closely. These reforms can improve efficiency and strengthen confidence in Iraq's financial system over time. The importance of following verified news cannot be overstated. In today's digital environment, social media often amplifies speculation much faster than official information becomes available. Responsible analysis requires distinguishing between confirmed government actions, official central bank statements, parliamentary legislation, and unverified commentary circulating online. This distinction becomes especially important whenever discussions involve exchange rate expectations. Many headlines may imply that major currency events are imminent, yet official institutions may not have announced any corresponding policy changes. Remaining disciplined and relying on credible information sources helps reduce the risk of making decisions based on incomplete or inaccurate information. The paragraph concludes with the belief that Iraq may be closer than ever to a significant development involving the dinar. It is entirely reasonable for individuals to hold personal opinions regarding future possibilities. However, it is equally important to recognize that no official authority has confirmed any imminent reinstatement or revaluation. Therefore, such expectations should be viewed as speculation rather than established fact. From a broader economic perspective, Iraq's future prospects continue to depend on multiple interconnected factors. Sustained political stability remains essential. Continued banking reforms will likely play an important role in strengthening financial institutions. Fiscal discipline and responsible management of oil revenues will continue to influence economic resilience. Diversification beyond the energy sector could reduce long-term vulnerability to fluctuations in global oil prices. Foreign investment is another area worth watching. International companies generally seek predictable legal frameworks, transparent regulations, reliable banking systems, and stable political environments before making significant long-term investments. Progress in these areas can support economic growth and job creation, strengthening the overall economy. Infrastructure development also remains a critical component of Iraq's long-term economic strategy. Investments in transportation, electricity, water systems, telecommunications, and logistics can improve productivity across multiple industries. A stronger infrastructure base often encourages private sector expansion and increases economic efficiency. Banking modernization deserves particular attention because financial systems form the backbone of modern economies. Digital banking, electronic payments, stronger regulatory compliance, enhanced cybersecurity, and expanded access to financial services can increase economic activity while reducing reliance on cash transactions. These developments may not generate dramatic headlines every day, but they often produce meaningful long-term improvements. Another important issue is inflation. Maintaining price stability helps preserve purchasing power and supports confidence in the domestic currency. Central banks around the world carefully monitor inflation because excessive price increases can undermine economic stability. Iraq's monetary authorities continue balancing exchange rate management with broader economic objectives. Oil revenues remain central to Iraq's public finances. Higher oil prices can strengthen government revenues, allowing increased investment in infrastructure and public services. However, dependence on oil also exposes Iraq to fluctuations in global commodity markets. Diversifying economic activity beyond hydrocarbons remains a long-term objective discussed by many policymakers and international financial institutions. Private sector development is equally significant. encouraging entrepreneurship, supporting small and medium-sized businesses, improving access to financing, and simplifying business regulations can contribute to sustainable economic growth. A more diversified private sector generally enhances resilience during periods of external economic uncertainty. Education and workforce development are additional factors that influence long-term competitiveness. Investments in human capital can increase productivity, support innovation, and improve living standards over time. Economic growth depends not only on natural resources, but also on the skills and capabilities of the workforce. International cooperation continues to shape Iraq's economic environment as well. Partnerships with regional neighbors, international organizations, development institutions, and global investors can provide technical expertise, financing, and opportunities for trade expansion. These relationships often support reform efforts while integrating Iraq more closely into the global economy. For Iraqi Dinar followers, the practical takeaway is that meaningful economic progress usually occurs through numerous incremental reforms rather than one single event. Improvements in governance, banking regulation, infrastructure, investment, and institutional capacity collectively strengthen an economy over many years. Short-term expectations should therefore remain grounded in observable developments rather than speculation. Investors and observers may understandably become frustrated when anticipated milestones take longer than expected. Economic reforms often involve legislative processes, institutional coordination, regulatory implementation, and gradual behavioral changes throughout the financial system. Patience, however, should not mean ignoring objective evidence. Responsible analysis requires continuously evaluating whether reforms are progressing, whether institutions are strengthening, and whether official policy announcements support broader economic improvement. Monitoring measurable indicators provides a stronger foundation than relying exclusively on optimistic or pessimistic opinions. Another valuable lesson from today's discussion is the importance of emotional discipline. Financial markets and investment communities frequently experience cycles of optimism and pessimism. Headlines can amplify emotions, leading participants either to become overly enthusiastic or excessively discouraged. Maintaining a balanced perspective allows individuals to evaluate new information more objectively. This balanced approach also encourages realistic expectations. Iraq possesses considerable economic potential through its energy resources, strategic geographic location, young population, and ongoing reform initiatives. At the same time, challenges including governance reforms, diversification infrastructure needs, regional uncertainties, and institutional development require sustained effort over many years. Recognizing both strengths and challenges provides a more complete understanding of Iraq's economic trajectory. Optimism grounded in evidence is generally more sustainable than expectations based solely on speculation. Looking ahead, followers of Iraqi economic news should continue monitoring official central bank communications, government economic policies, banking modernization efforts, fiscal reforms, international cooperation initiatives, investment announcements, and broader macroeconomic indicators. These developments provide meaningful insight into Iraq's evolving economic landscape. It is also useful to remember that currency values ultimately reflect confidence in the underlying economy and institutions. Building that confidence requires consistency, transparency, sound governance, and effective policy implementation over extended periods. These are gradual processes that cannot be measured by daily speculation alone. As Iraq continues pursuing modernization, every successful reform contributes another building block toward long-term economic stability. While no single reform guarantees future exchange rate changes, collective progress across multiple sectors strengthens the overall economic foundation. Today's discussion, therefore, highlights an important distinction. Remaining hopeful about Iraq's future is different from assuming specific currency outcomes are guaranteed. Responsible observers can recognize encouraging reforms while also acknowledging uncertainty regarding future monetary policy decisions. Ultimately, the Iraqi dinar story is closely connected to Iraq's broader economic transformation. Developments in banking, governance, investment, infrastructure, fiscal management, and private sector growth all matter because they collectively shape the country's long-term economic prospects. Monitoring these fundamentals provides a more reliable framework than focusing exclusively on speculation surrounding exchange rates. Thank you for watching today's Iraqi Dinar update. If you appreciate balanced, responsible, and factual coverage of Iraq's economy and monetary developments, be sure to subscribe to the channel and enable notifications so you never miss future updates. We remain committed to providing analysis based on verified information while clearly distinguishing facts from opinions. As always, this content is provided for informational and educational purposes only. It should not be considered financial, investment, or trading advice, and viewers should conduct their own research and consult qualified financial professionals before making any investment decisions.